as business owners in the community, we go out there to establish these relationships. That's your legacy. That's the longevity of your business, not the ones that try to just have transactions.
Welcome to the In the Arena podcast. My name is Jared Miguez, a co-host on this podcast that brings you the inspiring stories of our clients who are leaders and innovators across different industries in Southeast Louisiana. They are visionary entrepreneurs, savvy real estate professionals, media creators, military business owners, and community champions. And we are going to showcase the remarkable achievements and share their personal stories. Tune in for insightful conversations, valuable lessons, and motivational stories that are going to reveal their secrets to success and offer you insights to help you on your own path. Welcome to In the Arena podcast. Welcome to the In the Arena podcast. We got a family duo here. Found out that a few minutes ago.
We keep it secret if we...
Yeah, that just like the cat out the bag. Yeah. Yep. So one of our clients that we enjoy working with, and we want to promote you guys and let our audience know who you are, but you've been in business for a long time. And so we want staying power means a lot. And a lot of the things that you told us about your company before, I think, are the reasons why you still are growing and operating the way you are. So we'll get into that in detail. But before we get too far down the line, let's talk about who you are and what y'all's business does to let our audience know those things.
I'm Jack, also known as Randy Allen. I'm the president and founder of Tasch.
Yep.
And Tasch is a commercial construction company formed in 1993.
Nice.
And I'm Dan Eitmann. I'm one of the vice presidents of Tasch. I'm in charge of business development.
BD. So you a marketing guy?
I'm the guy.
Yeah.
Y'all would be besties.
Yeah.
Y'all are state small business partner besties.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. We're very,
Which, it's funny that you brought that up because in my mind I'm thinking, usually whenever you build a relationship with somebody, it's always just some common foundation of something that you enjoy, common values, experiences, something. And we met you guys because y'all are members of the St. Small Business Partnership, like we are. Mm-hmm. And, we go to those events because we want to find other like-minded business owners. And Lauren was attracted to you guys as soon as we started, attracted y'all from a business standpoint. But it's her husband, she's happily married, and he's a handsome guy.
Yeah.
But
I'm attracted to so many things,
But
business
from a
is
business
definitely
standpoint,
before my husband, for sure.
Attracted you guys from a business standpoint because of the way you operate your business. And so, when y'all talked about your values, trust was one of the things you brought up the most in y'all's answers to y'all's questions. And that's probably a good reason why you still exist after 30 plus years. So what does trust mean to your organization?
Well, I think everybody understands trust, and especially if you fell out of trust with someone. And so in my life, I'm generally a trustworthy human being, but, there have been times where you lose trust with someone. Mm-hmm. And when you do, you lose trust in buckets and you can't capture it back and drop. So it's become more and more important to lead my life that way, where I can become somebody who is more and more trustworthy and build relationships with people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's an industry pitfall, right? I mean, how much contractor litigation is there, right? I mean, we do a ton of construction lit and are always representing people in disputes. So when you find somebody that's trustworthy, that understands the industry, that can actually put themselves out there to be a specialist, it's important. And we know that as lawyers. I think we have the most jokes out there about lawyers. Huh?
And the second probably with
only
contractors.
second contractors.
I saw a TED Talk the other day, and that's what he was an architect that became a contractor. And his premise was, what do you think of when you think of contractors? And mostly it's pretty negative stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but again, for the trust factor, though, that's an internal impact from a value standpoint, but also an external too, right? Mm-hmm. And so, as a law firm that helps business operate better and create systems, we talk about how values can impact both all your decision-making process and how you relate to your client. So let's focus on internally, the staff you have. How does that value of trust create a culture within your organization?
I think Daniel can answer that.
You made me answer the tough ones.
He's inside a lot.
Inside a lot. I mean, we're lucky that we have, the people who have been there for a while. And I mean, you don't really get fired from Tasch. You end up quitting or retiring. And I think that's because you have that, people have your back kind of idea. If it's Byron or if it's Evelyn or if it's Joey or if it's Aaron or Austin or any of the people there, I know they're not going to put me in a situation with a client or with somebody else in the organization where I'm going to have to, what am I trying to say? Basically, that they're going to do the best thing for me. They're going to help us out, and we're going to kind of be like a win-win kind
Everybody's
of situation.
operating in the best interest of the company
Correct.
and
each other
values.
for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Dad used to say, just do the right thing. And when I was young, I would say, well, yeah, but right thing. I mean, to who? Who's right thing? And he said, well, I think you'll figure out who's the right, what right thing is. And I think that's what you demonstrate kind of like regularly when you come into work, is that you trust. I mean, we just saw this thing on at the Coldplay concert, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're trustworthy.
Wait, what happened at the Coldplay?
Yeah. So you're trustworthy or you're not. If you are cheating on your wife, I'm pretty sure you'll cheat on your vice president. And so it's just how you, you make mistakes in life, but it's how you lead your life and how you demonstrate that, I said that and I'm going to stick to it. And I've had lots and lots of occasions at work where people have come up and said, you did say that. And that happened not long ago. You did say we were going to do this. And I had to say, you're right. I did say that. I got to fix that. So there's always an opportunity to correct those mistakes. Mm-hmm. We all make those mistakes, right? But I think at the end of the day, it's that steadiness. The people that work with you feel they are in a stable environment, a space where it's, they can have a pass if they make a mistake. God knows we all need that. So I think that's important, is that trust factor is generated out of the integrity in the way you live your life.
Yeah, for sure.
You can tell when y'all are speaking how much you care about your people and one another, right?
Yeah, they're a bunch of good people.
An undertone of love.
Yeah. Well, we had talked a little bit about the company that we acquired. I guess it's been maybe a year and a half ago
that
now.
You helped on. Right?
That you guys, did
a great job.
But I'm thinking of one of the guys made not even a big mistake. There was a minor thing that happened with a change order that didn't go through, and the poor guy was like ready to fall on his sword. He's like, "Well, if you guys are firing me, you're firing me." I'm going, dude, what?
No, just put a process in place to make this.
It's okay.
Avoidable.
We're on the same team. This is as much as my fault as it is yours.
Well, the book that we always refer to when it comes to that kind of trust and selflessness is called the Good to Great by
Sure.
And he talks about having the mindset of trying to grow and trying to put yourself and the business in the best position you can be, right? It's what does he say? Selfless ambition for the organization,
the best
and
interest of the company,
not for yourself personally, right? And whenever you look at the situation, you think about how does this better the team, not necessarily just me.
Right.
It fosters a place of trust, and it comes from the top down, right? The owners have to think that way. How can I help my employees get to where they want to be? And in turn, they're going to ultimately help me get where I want to be. But it's got to be that give and take.
I think that's important. And that was one of the things I was thinking about on the way over here, is that, often we do a disservice to the people that work for us. We don't show them the target, and we don't show them how to hit the target. And so a lot of times they just sort of, waffling through the day, kind of getting busy work done, and just their day work is getting done. And so we've, intentionally over the last few years created 3 or 4 really big goals, objectives that each department head wants to try to achieve, and try to help them continue to stay focused to work towards that end.
Yeah.
And then all the tasks and the daily work and the weekly work and the monthly work that supports that and aligns to that is often just forgotten, right? Mm-hmm. So, a boss gets mad at a subordinate employee, a guy in the field who's doing the wrong thing, and oftentimes the guy doesn't even know what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
One of our biggest, Lauren is pushing this quarter for our organization. It's eliminating the useless and maintaining the standard. And we keep talking about when we get together, in order for you to maintain the standard, you have to understand what that is. Right? If they don't know what the standard is or what their responsibilities are, then you can't go out and execute, right? And you might not be doing anything intentionally or maliciously. From our standpoint, we thought we were clear as leaders, but we probably could have been clearer. And so as they go through their day, if we see that they're not hitting the mark, it's our job to step back and say, reiterate back to the standard and what we're trying to accomplish to make sure that they know where they're trying to go. And then if it happens repeatedly over and over again and we're being good leaders, then it's a different conversation. But most of the time, like you said, having humility and having your employees trust that when they make a mistake that they're not going to be, hung out to dry.
Yeah.
That's how you create a culture of trust.
Yeah. And I mean, well, in our case, it's like he said, it's almost like the scoreboard, and you know it and you see it. You can see on our dashboard, this is how many widgets we've made this month, or in our case, how many walls we painted or how much ceiling tile we did. And those guys know, okay, we're going to, in this job, it's this many square feet, it's this many hours. Well, they missed it by 10 hours. And then you go back and go, oh, well, the reason we missed it was because the truck was broke down and the delivery guy didn't get there on time. So and so then they know, and we can see, oh, okay, well, that was in the yellow because of this, but
we can solve
we're going to fix it.
Yeah. I think construction too, if you think about construction, you think about command and control. You think about a guy who's in charge and he gets up in the morning and he pounds the, and he goes out to the jobs and he gets it done. But really construction is this transformational kind of digital, software approach now. And project management is so big, and technology has played such a big role with work in progress and also being able to really gather a lot of data from the field. So now you know what a production rate should be, and you know if a crew is exceeding that production rate. So it's really sad to see a team of guys installing metal siding on a building with no sense of what success is. Mm-hmm. You get from that wall to the other wall. Now, if you're a guy and you're a gutter guy with a helper, you already know this, right? This is innate. You just know you're going to go put up today's gutters on a house, and it's going to be $4,000, and you're going to have $2,000 left over. But when you scale and you get bigger, you lose all that, and you've got a crew of guys that are putting something up, and yet nobody has told them the production rate should be 12 square feet an hour per man. Which means you go from that corner to that corner, and when you get to that corner, that's success. Mm-hmm. And if you did it in less than 8 hours, you guys are crushing.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you're speaking data. I'm getting excited.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so into this.
You have
like
no
I'm
idea
data
what you're
nerd.
saying.
Because it wasn't available, right? Like I've told you in my past, I grew up in a home of a general contractor.
Sure. It's so available.
I watched that grit, and I watched the waking up and stomping your feet and going demanding that things get done. And I've watched this transition as well. And when I'm helping businesses, that's and we're actually we just finished a quarter, so we're going through all of our quarterly meetings this week. And every one of those meetings, I'm reminding everybody, your gut and your emotions and your metrics when they're red and they're yellow and they're orange, that's telling you something needs to change, but you can't react based on that solely. You have to pull the data in order to decide what that change is going to be, how you're going to become more efficient, how you're going to improve, what somebody else needs to learn. And it's crazy to me when there's businesses operating today when it's so accessible that they're still not collecting or using any data.
A lot of times they're collecting it, but they're not using it.
Not using it.
Yeah.
And we'll often have somebody say, you know what? We got to close that cabinet shop. There's no way. Those guys, they're losing so much money.
You're like, give it to me.
Are they really losing?
I was like, I don't know if you guys have seen lately, or we will have somebody that says,
or somebody resigns and we go, well, we got to replace. Well, do we really? Or do we need two people?
Yeah.
Or do we need somebody part time? I mean, I think there's a perception of what it is within the company that's like,
we'll bid work, we'll bid a job, and our pre-construction manager, and I hope he doesn't listen to this. No, he's wonderful. We love Craig. Craig will say, we'll never beat that company. We'll never beat that company. If they bid, we just might as well not bid because they'll be so much lower than us. And then I'll go pull out some of the bid tabs from the last year and say, dude, we beat them like 3 out of 6 times. So about a 50-50 shot here. Yeah. But I just don't know if the data, is available. And the simplicity of that is paramount, right? So you need to keep that simple. It needs to be highly visible, and people need to know that they don't need to be scared for it or worried about how to access it, but it's available either in a performance card in a graph or just in the numbers or even an assistant. A lot of times the older guys, you can get an assistant to help a guy that's the older guy who refuses to look at the data, and he can explain the data. So yeah, I'm excited about the future in construction as we analyze data and we get better at doing our jobs, and we understand better what we're doing and what success is. Because I don't know if you know, but in construction is a very high rate of suicide and mental illness, and there's a huge problem. We recently coined or put out a coin with 988 for the suicide prevention hotline for folks, and it's just, I remember Dad was in the program, as we said, and they would carry a coin in their pocket,
yep.
a 1 year, 5 year, or 10-year anniversary. He's since passed away, but it gave me the idea to have that coin for the people that work for us, because they work 60 hours. Sometimes they'll work this month and not next month. There's a lot of pressure in construction, and when you can present or make an area or workspace that is stable, that appreciates that and gives them sort of the mark to hit. I always found that it's interesting that they want to know where the goal line is or what's success, or give me the number today that I got to do that is successful. And so it's just being able to present that to them routinely, you know, in a digital way.
Leadership is vision. It's empathy. It's love. It's that comfort. I agree with that.
Yeah, we talk about every week at our meeting, we talk about those key metrics, those KPIs that you're referring to within our company. And at first it was people having bad leadership in the past, maybe coming and not wanting to talk about being red or outside of the scope of what you want to be. And like, we had to explain to people that that's more
doesn't
of,
matter.
It doesn't, it's not, it really doesn't have an indication, at least the first, 20 times it happens, it might not be an indication of your performance. It may be an indication the system needs to be tweaked, but we won't know if the system needs to be tweaked unless we know what the metrics are not hitting. And so it's just a shift in mindset.
Well, it feels like Big Brother to a lot of people who are never involved with it, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you tracking me? You know?
Right.
I tell them we do this so that one day a week I got to look at you instead of wondering what you're doing for the rest.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've created OKRs, objectives and key results for all of our key department heads. And those may be only 3 or 4 items. And there's a lot of KPIs or initiatives associated with them. But really, if you have 4 or 5 really serious goals that you want to accomplish, and it might be in 6 months or 12 months, that's really what people need. That's this sort of the direction. And so when you check in and you ask them to check in monthly, they're already self-correcting. They're considering that metric, and they're considering that objective. And is it still germane and important today as it was yesterday or last month? And so we can sit down and talk about it. But that big objective, that big direction is so important. It's like putting a person on the path to success. And a lot of times you'll tell them, listen, I really think that is a great objective. I want to add this objective. Do you think this is important too? And they say, and then those objectives align to the key objectives of the company. So you're doing your part, and it's helping us reach our overall goal and mission. So that clearly has made, a huge
And like we've
impact on the
joked too
company.
about it, that it's harder to do it's harder to be wrong than right. You know what I mean? Than to, it's just easier just to.
Once everyone's moving in the same direction, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, you have to try to do it wrong.
That so okay, I know what the boss wants. These are the real serious things I want to try to accomplish between now and the end of the year. So very, very important.
Yeah. So we're going to live on trust for a little bit longer. We've done that through this conversation, but internal trust is important. But again, we've talked about the industry. And clients may lack trust in the industry as a whole. How do y'all develop trust within your clients?
We had a phone call earlier this week. I had a school. We've never done work at this school before. The lady calls me up. We've got to do this, and this before school opens. So Nathan went and took a look at it. I said, Nathan, she said she's got to do this. They got to redo the pavement. They got to bust this up. They got to rip out all these trees. And Nathan went back. He called me. He said, Dan, they don't have to do any of this. Okay, we're going to fix it. It's going to be, she's thinking she's going to spend $100,000 before school starts. And it was, just a few little things that we can take care of pretty quickly for them so that they can get opened and then have like a long-term plan to do it. So instead of having a contractor who goes in there and just, rips their head off, we're going to have a client now that realizes, okay, these guys aren't trying to screw us. They're only doing what we really need to get the school opened. And then, down the line, we'll be able to do a lot more work for them rather than trying to, one time and, see you later.
Yeah,
A relationship, not a transaction.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's important, especially in our type of community. I mean, not just speaking of St. Tammany, but even going into Orleans, like we're still a small community. Yeah. I mean, we met for the first time through the Saint Small Business Program, through Dan. We wound up talking. You had met people that I've known, and then he shows up to an event and he's met my husband before. I mean,
I knew your husband, right when you said your last name. I was like, wait, I know.
How are you related to Jay? Oh, she's my husband.
I'm like, that guy's on my mortgage. But honestly, that's the community that we live in. And so I do feel that if, as business owners in the community, we go out there to establish these relationships, that's your legacy. That's the longevity of your business, not the ones that try to just have transactions. So I think it's beautiful that we just get to live in an industry that you do get that repeat business.
Well, you have, I think it's a privilege to be able to live. I mean, I know that, I spent a lot of my life banging my head against the wall, working hard, getting out there, and I was in the front of that customer. And to have this time in my life now that I do want to be with customers, and I think the customer experience is one of the most important things that we can deliver. Is every place that you touch Tasch, it's an exceptional connection. But I realized that really what I wanted to do, and I learned this a few years ago from a guy that we know who started Z-Lanes, a level set company, Scott Wolf. And Scott said, Randy, what you ought to do is you really ought to focus internally. You ought to build the machine that makes the money and build the team inside. Spend time on them because you have the privilege to do that. You got other people that can do these other things, do it well. And you can augment and be part of that. But really try to focus internally on them. And then I think those people, like Nathan, like Mark, like Daniel, they go out and they represent you and your values. So you always hire for those values and promote for those values. And then when they touch that customer, and you've already told them that you're going to touch the customer 10 times, and every spot that you touch that client needs to be exceptional. Mm-hmm. So they know. I got to deliver an estimate. I got to deliver it in 2 days. I got to make a phone call. I got to call them back in an hour. I got to go see them, and I got to present them, and I got to do my best to save them money. That's paramount. We're going to give them a value. At the end of the day, when they ask around, they're going to say, "You got what? You got that done? That was fabulous. You got that much work done." Guess that's going to come out eventually, right? Mm-hmm. You put a roof on your house and you pay $20,000, and everybody laughs in your neighborhood. Everybody paid $14,000. I mean, eventually you're going to know how screwed you got.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a real privilege to have a team of people that could provide that.
So I want to go back to the kind of origin of Tasch.
Oh,
so you've been doing this since 1993. Mm-hmm. That's over 30. Am I over 30? No, over 20 years.
Yeah. No, 30
years. Yeah,
30 was
37 years.
Nearly 50 years.
32 years. Or 32
Don't
to
age
almost
him.
50.
Don't you do that.
Yeah.
32 years.
32.
Love it.
As you've kind of grown over these, the last 30 years and owned this company for so long, what is something that you overcame during that going up period that got you to where you're at today? Was there a moment in time that
I think the toughest thing about being in business is money. Mm-hmm. And if anybody says anything different, I would have to disagree. Mm-hmm. Financially, we all come out of the chute thinking we were almost all underfunded, and we were almost all putting our houses, and there's a tremendous anxiety and fear and worry, and you go on vacation and you hope the credit card swipes and gets done. So it's money. It's hard. And I think the thing that happened along the way is you become fearless. You just say, I'm jumping out of this thing with or without the parachute, and the hell with it. Mm-hmm. And so that's what happened to me is you won't lose, and you can't lose if you don't quit. Mm-hmm. So you just say, I ain't quitting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's that element of just every day put one foot in front of the other. No matter, yeah.
It's tough, man. And I've grown to respect, like I told you, maybe I told you earlier, is that, I was super competitive early in my career. And now I grow to really appreciate young guys who are doing it, because I know it's such a challenge and it's difficult, and it puts a lot of stress on families and puts a lot of stress on the person who's going through it. and it's tough to make payroll sometimes. It ain't now, but it could get that way again. Sure. Nobody's promised anything,
which is which is part of the motivation that keeps you moving forward.
Get
and
up, you get up and you work, and you you're thankful for what you got, for sure. Yeah. But money, and the notion that you're just going to continue. Yeah. So you're going to get up the next morning, you're just going to keep going.
So let's talk about, I want to talk about that. You said the sacrifice and how hard it is for the person who's going through it, right? But not only for them, but for their family and everybody else that's around them. Yeah. And I think being a business owner and taking that step, people don't realize how much sacrifice you have to make. They see you with the pot of gold, but they don't see how long it took you to just chip that rock until you got there, and how many times you could have just given up when you were an inch away, but the next day you got up and did it anyway.
Well, that's a great question, and it's a thing to reflect on. I mean, here's the thing. I don't remember going to a dinner party or to church or seeing family where we start talking about my finances. So in our society, it's not like this everywhere, but in other societies, it's not. But in our society, that's just it's just a topic you don't talk about.
Right.
Like, I don't go in and say, my checking account is overdrawn $50,000, and we're going to struggle to make payroll. Mm. So you not only have the angst and the worry and the concern and the fear, there's just like this constant fear, but you damn sure don't talk about it. Mm. So anybody who's going through it generally looks like a duck. On the surface, everything's great, and he's paddling so hard to stay above the water underneath, So, and there's exceptions to all this, right? I'm just painting a broad picture, but I bet it would resonate with most people if they had to take real money and mortgage a house and go start up something. Mm-hmm. That it's a daunting task. It's scary, and let's face it, a lot of businesses fail. And a lot of times it's not because a guy wasn't smart enough or savvy enough. There's just a lot of circumstances surrounding it.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are people who say, well, I'm not quitting, so it doesn't matter. Mm. So that's my experience with the notion of, the hardest thing that you might have dealt with. I think it's always money.
Yeah. And is there an element to it that after you've gone through some of those difficult times, after you go through enough of those things, that you just wake up the next day and just say the next hard thing's going to happen, and I'm going to get through it? You just almost get numb to it in a way. You get tough and you get a callus and you just keep moving.
Yeah, or you just pretend like it ain't happening.
I like to believe it's confidence that's building, right? Like you prove to yourself that you do hard things. I do this to my girls, right? And they'll go do something outrageous. Like the first time my daughter swam the 500, 20 laps, right? Or my 8-year-old just ran three
didn't think
miles.
There was any way she could do it.
Yeah, and she comes back and I'm like, what would you do? Like, man, I'm tired. No, you do freaking hard things.
Right.
Like, and that's what I look at that as being an entrepreneur. And I think watching, growing up with two parents each owning their own business, that's what I saw. Like, we do hard things. You just show up every day. And the people that are willing to continue to do hard things are the people that eventually make it to the finish line. They might look bruised and battered when they get there because they had a harder route, but they didn't give up.
Yeah, and then there's something about chasing money too that's also a horrible thing. Is like you think that the money is the thing that you should focus on, and you really need to focus on all the things that makes
everything
your client so crazy about you and willing to pay you so much money to come do this thing. So it's getting the cart before the horse, and oftentimes that's been part of my life, is just focused on the money, and the client says, I haven't seen you in 2 months. So I think I think if you really are, I think a lot of times entrepreneurs just don't come out, aren't cut from that cloth. We're the guys, I think they'd come out and just go to work and maybe didn't have the formal training, certainly never sort of experienced it before, and then you just kind of hang your shingle out and you go after it. But a lot of times you're forcing the issue and you're going after the money instead of going after that client satisfaction. And as you kind of develop a sense of that, it's like, wait a minute, this client really loves us. Why does he love us so much? Mm-hmm. Because you just did an exceptional job. Why don't you just repeat that and do that time and time and time and time again? And then you forget about the competition, you forget about the money, and you focus on one thing, is making that client satisfied.
Right.
Yeah.
And our version of exceptional job, I mean, obviously we have all these standards, but at the end of the day, it's just solving their problems.
Yeah.
If you know your client's problem, you are adding value to their life, and therefore
That's
you're
right.
going to be of value to them. They're going to be willing to pay for it. And, you know, I love that you touched on not chasing money, because any new business or a business that wants to scale that comes to me and we're walking through their system, I want them to set a goal, and I always hurry up and get the monetary or the volume goal out of the way. I'm like, and I could care less what it is. Let's reverse engineer it. It's simple. It's done. Put it to the side, right? What is going to be the goal that actually gets you up and moving every single day? That's rooted in your purpose, rooted in your passion, rooted in your values, rooted in the impact that you want to make on the community, because that's ultimately going to make the difference. That ultimately gets you to your monetary goal, because chasing the money, that's fleeting. It's fleeting. And then once you get it, you realize, oh, crap, I'm still not happy.
Yeah.
Well, you know the answer to the question, how much money do you need? You know what the answer is. It's a little bit more. I just need a little bit more.
Always.
Just a little bit more.
So and I, you know, I think that at the end of the day, this is all about transitioning, and this is all about maturing. This is all about kind of experiencing, you know, those years, you know, where you can move into those spaces. I mean, I would love to say I had that knowledge and that feeling in 1993. But I didn't have the feelings I have now. I was a different person in 1993.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to talk more about what y'all do as an organization before we get off. So, you know, as a company, y'all are obviously a contractor, but like, where do y'all service? What do y'all do? What's y'all's specialty? Let's tell the audience more about y'all's organization and how y'all can add value to them.
There's so much
There's
more.
two big prongs. We do maintenance work and we do general contracting. And a lot of, you know, we say a lot of contractors started off as contractors and they tried to add a maintenance portion. We kind of went the other way around. We were truly a maintenance company first, and then became more of a GC as well.
Gotcha.
So we have two, you know, the main places that we would service would be healthcare facilities, K-12 education facilities, retail spaces, and commercial tenants. That's kind of our
Those niche.
bread and butter, those four areas.
And so from a maintenance standpoint, like what do y'all like? What would it look like to help a client with
Everything.
maintenance?
So a guy calls up and says that
Thank you.
the doorknob won't work, and 30 minutes later, one of our guys was there fixing
All
the
those
doorknob.
headaches.
Yeah,
Talk
all
about
those
solving
little things.
problems. Their
There you
maintenance
go.
contracts are
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
pretty
So
great.
a lot of service ticket type work, and then, you know, small painting jobs, small build outs for those maintenance clients, and then anything up to, you know, a $10 million renovation at West Jefferson High School,
Nice,
which is our kind of ongoing big job right now.
nice. And then y'all's geographical reach. You just mentioned the South Shore. Y'all do Slidell, Covington, Mandeville, the North Shore.
From here to Baton Rouge to Lafayette to Biloxi.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll stay
I-10.
I-10 corridor.
Our sweet spot. They share our sweet spot.
Yeah.
But mainly Jefferson Parish, Orleans Parish, St. Tammany Parish.
Y'all are rooted there to bleed out. We're
Correct.
rooted in St. Tammany, and kind of our people in St. Tammany do business in those surrounding areas.
Yeah. That's great. Well, I appreciate y'all coming on. And look, I mean,
Yes.
we usually get in a lot of detail early about people's businesses, but y'all came in, added value off the bat. So I think this is going to be great
No.
content. And look, wisdom for people that you're looking to start a business or are in the middle of the first couple of years and getting motivated, how they can stay focused on it by hearing what you've gone through over the last 30
And what
years.
group are you part of in the industry that you can bring in other young contractors that may need some support and colleagues?
I'm active in ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors, and so we've been members for years, and we work with, you know, GCs and smaller companies that are coming in. We work with subcontractors, a lot of small subcontractors that bid work to us, that work with us. We try to play a mentoring role. And then I'm a member of CFMA, which is the Contractors Facilities Management Company, which is all about accounting and work in progress and those kinds of technical things, and part of that group for a number of years.
So, Randy, the resource.
Yeah,
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 he's a
He's a-
certified Sage nerd.
yeah. And I'm a certified nerd in technical stuff. I really do enjoy the.
That means expert. You know, that's
Absolutely.
what us nerds say. That means expert.
So we got so much to learn with AI and everything else. It's been a real exciting time.
Yeah.
It has.
to work in
Exciting
construction.
is the exact word I'd say. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you,
Yes.
guys.
Fun
Thanks for
conversation.
having us.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Jess.
having us. I really appreciate it.